All right, good morning, YouTubers. Something you don't see very often in Ohio, the sun. Anyway, it's beautiful out. Can't complain about the day. It's gonna be 70, and here it is this early in the morning. I think it's around 10. It's already in the 50s, so reminds me of Savannah in the winter. But anyway, here's where we're at. We got the bumper braces welded on. This hole right here actually will bolt through that hole in the back of the bumper. The bumper lays flat against this, just right straight up against it. The back of the bumper literally touches that. So you have that bolt. You'll have 6 half-inch bolts and 4 3/4-inch bolts holding this bumper on. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Anyway, also added a little gusset there from the back of that down to the leaf spring bracket. I have seen those brackets come up. You put enough weight on them, they will twist, especially when they get rusted up. So I took the scaler, went all over that, sanded what I could, wire wheeled it, and then undercoated it and painted it. What I do with this really rusty stuff, like this back of this rear bumper here, I go in there and I scale it. I get it clean as I can, and then I put a can or a coat of PB Blaster on it, and I let it soak into that rust. Sometimes 2 coats, and I mean, you got to get all the rust you can off of it. But and then I spray undercoating over it, and you would think that undercoating would come right off that oily surface, but once it dries, it becomes part of it. I've been doing that for several years, and it works good for me. I'm not telling anyone they should do that to their stuff. Don't even recommend it. Matter of fact, anything I do here, I don't recommend you do to your own stuff. But anyway, it works for me, and that's how I do it. So these are both, they're on both sides, ready to put the bumper on, and kind of cleaned it up, did the same thing over here. So the bumper's ready to go on. You could run some tail lights and hook a brake line back up to this single rear end, and you could use this wrecker. It's not the it's not the way it should be, but it would operate right now. If you had grids and L-arms, you could tow with it. I do have the sling for it, but anyway, that's where we're at this morning. Gonna work on it most of the day probably. I'll update you. All the pins are cut. I had those extra long pins in the cylinders I bought. All those are cut, and I just welded the ends of them on. I know that if I ever have to take them off, they don't just slide off. I've never seen one yet that come apart easy. So I just tack weld the ends of them, or weld the shit out of the ends of them, whatever you want to say, and then I grind them off and push them on out there if I have to. But that way I know for a fact they're not going to come out of there. Now, these obviously connect to that down there. So we'll put this bumper on there, and I'll probably just plate that because I think there's about a 3/8 of an inch gap in it. I'll just put a tab of flat bar stock in there, and that'll finish the bumper. Now, I left these here long, these 2 pieces, and I'll probably end up trimming the bumper off, because once I get the dually rear end under it, I'll build the width of the bed to match my track width, and I don't want the rear wheels hanging out from under it, nor do I want the rear wheels clear up underneath the bed. So everything right now is built a little wider than it probably should be. You can see I scabbed a piece on here, but I think we're going to end up being just about right from what I can measure. But as soon as we get the rear end under it, then we'll worry about that. And basically the bed just hangs on here. You weld some cross pieces off and either bolt or fabricate the toolboxes, but I'm not going to get too fancy with this thing. It's just for my own use right now. So we're going to go ahead and finish the fabrication of these rails in here that go between this cross member and that cross member, and then from here to here, and then there'll be another cross member go completely across the truck right about here that'll go down and reinforce the right here in this area is where your carrier bearing sets. So I'm going to gusset off of this cross member here to help locate that. Due to the fact that the fuel tank is here, you can't run a cross member clear across the frame. So we'll hang it here and then build a big gusset up to the bottom of that cross member. So that's where we're at now. The hydraulics work. I didn't see any leaks come out this morning. All the cylinders were up and nothing leaked off. There's no oil on the ground anywhere. So far it's doing okay. We'll just keep plugging at it as I got time, the weather and time. So that's where we're at, and thanks for watching. Got any questions or suggestions, throw them at me. I appreciate it. Please watch the rest of our videos if you want to catch up on where this thing started, and like and subscribe. Thanks.